Loretta Onochie reacts as Obidient reveal what Yorubas did for Igbos after Biafra War. Ms. Loretta Onochie, personal assistant on social media to President Buhari, has reacted to a video where a man said it is not true that the Yorubas hate the Igbo people. The presidential aide who shared the video on her verified Facebook account prayed for God to bless Nigeria while reacting to the video. In the said video, the man who identified himself as an Obidient said he has heard a lot of people say Yorubas hate the Igbos and don't want them to become president, but nothing could be further from the truth. He revealed how the Yorubas preserved properties that belonged to the Igbo people who fled the southwest during the Biafra War and handed the properties back to them when they returned after the war. He also disclosed other ways the Yorubas have shown love to the Igbos in the southwest. About 5 minutes, 12 seconds into the video, the man said, during the Biafra War, every tribe that is so near to the Igbos, including the Inquere in Port Harcourt, seized our properties and they called it abandoned properties. Our next door neighbors, people that even speak the same Igbo as us in Obibos, they changed everything and seized our properties till today. Tell me one single property of Igbos that was seized by the Yorubas after the war. We went back and reclaimed our properties. They kept them for us. In fact, one Emeka Anyoku said that a Yoruba man that was his neighbor when he ran away during the war kept his property and was collecting rent for him throughout the 3 years of the Civil War. And when he came back, the man handed everything to him. Even Emeka Ojukwu that led the war, 13 properties his father had in a place called Ikoyi in Lagos were all handed over back to him. He also advised his fellow Obedients to market Peter Obi in peace and stop thinking that the Yorubas want to stop Igbos from becoming president. I think for Nigeria being a nation that over the years has really, Nigerians, we have conversations, we talk a lot. It's very interesting because, we keep on talking, but we don't review the way we talk or the way we hold discussions and the result of these discussions. At the end of the day, yes, we are in a bubble where, news is incited, people are triggered, something happens, and then boom, reactions. People's emotions are being played with and you react. And we have not actually done anything in terms of we talk but we do not do, and we're in a constant cycle of we talk, something happens, we talk, we give our emotions, we get tired because nothing happens, we rest, something happens again, we talk, give our emotions, we get tired because nothing has happened out of the talking. So it's a constant cycle. Now in this case, it's like the fact that we're still engaging in conversation of how we can move forward with the country, and we're talking about the relationship with Igbos and Yorubas and the Biafran War, is just, in my opinion, irrelevant. I'm not saying history is not important or that we should not learn about the history, but it's like, are you going to use that to determine your relationship with the whole tribe now? Again, you have to understand, those at the top will use those at the bottom to fight each other. It's not necessarily an individual against an individual or a tribe against a tribe. It's literally the state and the tribe. That is literally what it is. And the state has done a good job by involving other members of the state to fight against one tribe or make it seem as though there's some, conflict or some issues. But the point is, we actually have to step out of being controlled and being conditioned to think a certain way, because then obviously Loretta Onochie posting this, she's literally in the leagues of Joe Igbokwe. So, when it comes to how Igbos perceive the likes of her and Joe Igbokwe, it's not necessarily with the most respect or anything, but really, this whole Obidient thing and this is like, what is she trying to do? Is she trying to appease the Obedience? Trying to say, what, I'm not necessarily, against, Peter Obi. She's spoken a lot of, very contradictory things, but she is for the APC. She is working with Muhammadu Buhari, and she has defended him so many times. So really, I think in this way, I guess it's her subtle way of also trying to say, you know what, maybe I do, low key, subconsciously, not subconsciously, but in a disguised way, maybe, I do support Peter Obi, but she would not actually say it with her chest. But the point of this is, when we talk about our tribes and, intertribal relationships and all that, it's like, why? What does that do for us? I think the more we continue to highlight our differences, the more we continue to highlight our differences from, historic events and things that have happened in Nigeria and the role that we played, the more we will be divided, and the more our conversations will become very tailored and so specific that we lose sight of the bigger picture. The bigger picture being Nigeria and what is best for all of us. Because if we want to be fair, yes, we obviously cannot take away from the fact that there's religious, ethnic bias and sentiments. We can't, that's the reality of what our country is, and, how it's literally the foundations of the Nigerian society. It's part of the foundations of the Nigerian society. So we can't obviously ignore that, because, if we try to go for what we think is best, whoever happens to be president, they just have to be worthy of it. They just have to have the mindset, great ideas, and no matter who they are going to be prone to messing up. So what as a society we need to do is understand that the power is in us and create systems of accountability and put people in places that we trust. But it just seems like, and which is the fact, it seems like the people themselves are so far from, where the power is and where the change is. So we decide, what, we the people are going to enter that space. But my point is, it's irrelevant to have conversations about Igbos and Yorubas at a time like this. And of course, yes, talking about the rotational presidency and that being an agreed way of equity and, and fairness for whoever is president, on those grounds, of course, it's justified that it is unfair if the presidential seat goes back to the north when it has been everywhere else but the south or southeast. So on that regard, it's fair, and everybody can think with common sense and say, great. But trying to use the Biafran war to justify why the relationship with Igbo and Yoruba should be stronger or should be weaker is no point, or trying to make it seem as a Yoruba Igbo versus the North thing, or the North and the Yorubas versus Igbos. We're not going to get anywhere. In fact, we intensify matters and we lose sight of the overarching, we become more selfish with our conversations. The conversations do not become about the wellness of the country as a whole, but the interest of one tribe against the other. And who it's like, are we going to go into oppression Olympics? I'm more oppressed than you. This is what this. No. And don't get me wrong, what the Nigerian state did to the Igbos, it's unjustifiable. No one is going to say that. But as Nigerians moving forward and wanting the Nigeria that we want, there are just certain conversations that are not going to lead anywhere. Because really, you emphasize why right now, why you should take into consideration people's tribes and how you're going to judge them. Yes, Nigeria realistically is like 3 countries in one, let's be honest. So it's not going to be easy. But anyways, put what you think about it in the comment section below, and do not forget to like and subscribe.